Yes, so we are back. Step by step, breath by breath, dancing up our Kilimanjaro, as you say. And I utilize that actually often in other sessions, and I obviously don't give your name, but I quote another kin. And yeah. So we're back and just drawing out, stretching out, savoring, as you said today, savoring yourself, savoring this moment of you're worth it. You're worth all the while, you're worth all the time, you're worth all the energy, you're worth all of the investment, all of what it takes. And I want to also say, I want to be very clear that nothing makes me sadder than when I realize that I'm so being pulled by whatever other distraction that there could be going on, and I don't get to meet with a kin or do a feedback video that I want to do. And so that just to show you the iron sharpen iron strengthening of the power of each of us, the power of one, the power of each of us really showing up for ourselves, for our work, for our life purpose, for our pleasure, for our passion, for our purpose, the way that resonates with us. So when things happen that take me away from having this effective connection that I feel I was born, that I know I was born to do, it's just like, wow, another thing is going to try and come and take away from my space and time. Like, no, not on my watch. I'm here for this. This is what I was born for, and nothing else is going to take that away from me. And I'm going to will myself and my life into wealth and pleasure in a way that is all-encompassing by my measure. Like what we spoke about today, having it all, taking care of it all of the things that you want to take care of. Family, friend, business, responsibility, lover, colleague, self, on every tear, on every level, in every way, but from this center. So, okay, back into the notes. I'm back, we're here. If you're watching this, obviously I got it done. So yay us, and yay that willpower and putting it on top, putting ourselves on top, dropping all else for the things that fulfill us and that will keep and maintain this beautiful vessel, this nerve system that we are graced with to take care of. We have so many things, like I said today, we have so many things that we take care of in life. But what about this? It is exquisite leadership, phenomenal leadership to be able to lead this vessel and take great, phenomenal care of this embodiment. All that means. And our whole lives we are learning to do that. Right? So yes, moving deeper into the notes. So you had mentioned about your projections in the May session. You had mentioned about your projections for completing the home project, all that you've embarked on with your family to complete that home space. And at that time you had said you were giving yourself till August or September. And so just do a personal check-in and see, is that still a feasible, practical thing, and give it to yourself the extent to which you've done the work to get it to wherever it is so far, and what you've learned from May till now that has made that timeline be extended or come shorter, or energetically, financially, where are you with that process, and also obviously emotionally with all of the power dynamics and endings that I spoke about today that are surfacing. So where are you with that timeline that you had projected for, and what is the current timeline based on how everything is going? At that time, you had spoken about stress in the body, and I was feeling that energy in your back and your chest, your neck, and we were just talking about the fact that the body requires all forms of relief and release. Spoke about the crying, sweating, digestion, excretion, orgasm, venting, acknowledging investments made and given, who is taking a vested interest in you, who is interested in you, woven into their life, and your life is a restful amplification and investment. That's what interest means for Sacred Dialogue. We break it down. Interesting, right? That I can rest in you and you can rest in me. So again, that question keeps coming up in partnership, in linkages, in companionship, in business, in family, in friend, in lover, in colleague, in self, in different aspects of self. Where are the spaces that make you feel like what you require for this season that you are moving in? Who and what within you and outside of you is taking that vested interest in you and allowing that overflow and that release and that replenishment and that rejuvenation? Who comes to mind? Where could you go? Who could you run to besides you? Who outside of you? And what parts of you? What interests in you can you run to? What would you do if you had that time off that we spoke about today? Time together with time to spare in here, to savor self. What would you do with you right now in this season? What you would do with you at 17 and 27 and 37 and age 7 is going to be different to an extent. What has that been? What have you always been doing anytime you get with yourself? So today we spoke a little bit about enjoying a sandwich by yourself and driving to the beach and just energetically bearing it all to the ocean, just by listening to it, just by observing it, just by letting it show you yourself in itself, your vastness, your depths, the power of the shallow entering, all of that. So where is it right now within you? Where would you like it to be? Where could you cultivate it more? When you're savoring time with you, what exactly are you doing? What exactly do you envision yourself doing? What would you like to have more time and energy to do? Sometimes you're so exhausted you can't even do anything with you. Like recently I got a moment to myself and I just laid on the floor, spine to the floor, and just like corpse position, but not even really trying to do any specific thing, just lying down, putting my spine to the earth and grounding and just resting, just laying it all and burying it all, on my floor, which brings me to your floors right now, which you probably can't do that on because of what's happening there this month versus then, right? So we spoke about that today, where I spoke about the plumbing being a highlighting of our waterways, water being the way we carry and bear and share and flow our emotional expression. So if it's seeped into the floor and it's ripping up the floor, that's very literal and symbolic for that ripping that you are enduring, that you're going through right now, and that you have the power to go through, but reminding you that you also have the self-compassion to go through, and that you always have been, and that not just the self, but you're giving it to all involved as well. You're showing up for all involved as well. So every day I say, trust yourself and give it to yourself. If I could tattoo something on my face, it would be trust yourself and give it to yourself. We must acknowledge, we must have a balanced account of full, thorough, forensic account of ourselves and all that we are showing up to and all that we are fulfilling for ourselves and all involved. Because taking care of yourself for you, especially for those of us who give the way in the way that I know that can give, it is our duty, it is our responsibility then to take phenomenal care of ourselves and to really set the willpower trajectory for that, because we do honestly see it as taking care of ourselves to take care of others and the things that we find ourselves inclined to and interested in. We are so passionate and so deeply connected, rooted in the things that we feel we belong to and feel that belong to us and feel that belong to our care. But are we? What not are we? What are the ways that we can improve our own inner care as life's seasons change, as the ecological climate is changing, as the financial economic climate is changing, as the health and wellness climate is changing and transforming? We must also change and transform and level up the investment and the maintenance of our bodies, minds, souls, spirits, energetic levels in general. Okay, I had asked you to listen to Water Under the Bridge by Olivia Newton-John and Landslide by Fleetwood Mac and Dreams by Cranberries. I'm not sure if you got to do that, and to do it with something delicious and voice note me what you felt and thought from each song. So, of course, homework is always running. And I think that, this is the very, very first time we have ever had a session where you did not give feedback about actual homework. That says a lot for how saturating this time has been. And I just want to honor that, because I always tell you that you are one kin that always blows me away with the way you do the fun homework options. And so I just want to note it. I want to note that I acknowledge your sacred dialogue vessel, that I acknowledge the capacity that has been taken from you and required for these last 3 months, which we knew, because when you set it out in April and May and you told me what the next few months from then till October was going to be, we already knew that it was going to be a lot. But just because we are strong enough and know what's coming doesn't mean we don't deserve the directly proportional amount of compassion and love and attention to our details, for the amount of attention to detail that we are giving life. Okay, and then at that time you had said that the focus would be treating yourself, and we spoke about making everything a treat in an eat, pray, love sort of a way. And we spoke a little bit about what does eat, pray, love look like for you? What is eat? What does it mean? What is pray? What is love? What would your 3 things be called? Would they be called eat, pray, love? And what would you be eating? And what prayer would you be saying? And what would you be loving? And who would you be loving? And how? And to bring that into today's session with that dissolving of overcompensation. The backlogging, the malnutrition of good things to eat, of goodness to ingest, of good connection, good time for spiritual connection and all forms of connection, for prayer, spiritual connection, for love, for savoring and lingering and connecting and holding, and how these three things can be fluidly and symbiotically one. So really taking the time to treat yourself to yourself. You know, everybody wants a bit of you, a bit of you, a bit of you, a bit of you. But you want a bit of you, and you like to share your bits. Your bits, oh my God. You'd like to share your bits and your sound bites and parts of you very consensually with those that you are finding that you like to share. Like that Roger Whittaker song, right? There never seems to be enough time to do the things that you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know that you're the one I want to go through time with. Well, that's a prayer that the universe spoke out, and so we were born, and it's our birthright to spend our whole life with ourselves and become every day something, someone that we belong to and that we enjoy spending time with. So now that we've found a few things that we want to treat ourselves to, and we want to treat ourselves to ourselves because we've become something phenomenal. Have you seen us? Have you seen the things that we can do? And 17-year-old self, like, have you seen what we came through? Have you seen the things that we can do, the things that we were so afraid that we wouldn't be able to do? And look at us. And we've been doing it. Like, really sit on that plateau, really sit on that mountaintop, really breathe on that summit and be like, yo, like, look down, look around, look all around. Look at the views. Look at the views from where you are now. Look at the views, right? Look in the mirror and look at the view where we are now. So that's pretty much the notes from the last session. It was all about preparing for the next 3 to 6 months with all of the building stuff and giving it to yourself, as we had begun. Like, what have you accomplished? You know, again, bringing it full circle. It had started with you watching the last video, and then a colleague had passed away, and you were just kind of sitting in that sense of self of what have I accomplished, and allowing that sadness to come. But now also allow the happiness to come, and sit with both with peace. You know, that it's safe enough to be sad as you reflect on what you have accomplished and haven't accomplished, and what it all truly means, and the wisdom of what you have accomplished and the wisdom of what you haven't accomplished. There's that as well, because there are a lot of things that we are raised to think that we should accomplish that seem out of our reach and unattainable. I speak about that in sessions a lot. There are many things that we are conditioned to want that are also taught as the unattainables, and we spend our whole life on a wild goose chase trying to connect to this form of that thing. We're looking for connection, but it has to be in this way, and if you never ever find it in this way, then have you really found it? And we need to dissolve any notion, any connection to that kind of mutilating concept that's very discompassionate. Of course we have found connection, and of course we are here for so much more. And as we move through this current season of our life, we want to really articulate very explicitly the kind of connection we are looking for. So I'm going to end this one to make sure we have it, and I'm going to do a third part. Okay, be right back. So take a pause, drink some water, sit and reflect on how wonderful you are, and I'll be right back.